So today at work, me and my Asian colleagues standing at the reception where we were doing our work, one guest walks up and first thing he said, "Why all the Asians are here?" We were like, "Excuse me?" But anyway, we keep quiet and professional. And I go, "Okay, how can I help you today?" And he goes, "I'm here to check in, but I stayed in many hotels. All the staff were Aussies." I'm like, "Okay. So would you like me to help you checking in, or I am more than happy to cancel your reservation and you can go find a hotel where, an Aussie can check you in." But anyway, eventually he checked in with me. But I was like, why all this racism? Why you guys can't see any Asian working somewhere? Oh my God.
Listen, girly, I have seen you comment in a lot of my videos, and I'm so happy for you. I am so happy for you that you do not receive any racism in this country. Perhaps Australia is progressing. I'm really, really happy for you. But you cannot sit there and tell me that as an Asian, because you're an Asian, that you've never received racism in this country. Because ask every single fellow Asian Australians what happened to them between 2019 to, let's say, 2023, during the COVID period in Australia. Ask those people how much they've felt threatened about their safety in this country. Just because you don't experience it doesn't mean that other Asians don't experience it. I see it on a daily basis.
Australia is so fucking racist and it's embarrassing. I went to a party the other day with my roommate and he has a bunch of white friends. So the party was predominantly white and it was just me, a brown skinned girl, a person of color in the party. I mean, a lot of people treated me well, but a lot of white men, when they got drunk, even if they don't know me and this is the first time they're meeting me, the only thing that they told me, "Oh my God, you're beautiful, but you're not my type," I don't like dating brown girls. I don't like darker skinned girls. I normally am into blonde chicks or white chicks. I'm like, who even asked you? Did I even ask you to date me? Did I even bring up that question? Did I even tell you to analyze me or give me your thoughts? I'm just here at a party to have a few drinks and food, and that's it. Why did you have to go out of your way to come over to me and tell me this information? And there were many other white guys there. They were just talking to me, and then they were looking at me as if they feel pity. What is wrong with you? How is this normal? How is this normalized? I mean, Australia is a country with people of different colors, different backgrounds, nationality. Why do you want to come and point that out to me where I'm not even interested in you? Honestly, it is so fucking rude. Pity on their face that they're doing good for the society by going out with someone who is not white, who is a person of color, in order to make themselves feel better. It's totally fucked. Men, white men, do better.
Right guys, welcome back. This is Hosting Stories KE, and personally I hope and believe that you are doing super great whenever you will be watching this episode from. Now let's talk about racism in Australia. When you ask a normal Aussie if indeed racism is in Australia, what they will answer you is very simple: no. Majority of them will answer no. But in this case, when you ask this question to an immigrant, a legal immigrant, a person of color who is living in Australia, a person who was born in Australia but is of color of or another ethnic group, or even an international students, they will tell you that racism, there is so much racism in Australia. And these people who are experiencing this racism from the Aussies are so much frustrated. They are receiving so much hate, so much negative comments. The Aussies, some of them, not all Australians are bad, by the way. Some Aussies are so much amazing. But some of these Australians are making the Australia itself look like it's a racial country, because the comments they are giving these people of color and other ethnic groups is so heartbreaking. They are telling them you should go back to where you came from. They are telling them you should be deported immediately. Others are even telling them in the comment section you don't belong in this country. And this is so much heartbreaking. In this video, I want us to look into their stories, what they have to say about them experiencing so much and too much racism in Australia. And then at the end, I'll be giving my commentaries. In the meantime, if you are new here, you remember to subscribe and let's watch this video together. Then I'll be giving my commentaries at the end.
So, I don't know how to react to this. This is the first time I've, read a racist comment and wasn't angry. On the last post that I made about how, blackfellas go online and people just comment racist stuff on everything, someone wrote in my comment section, must be allergic to melanin.
Growing up in Australia, I experienced so much racism from an early age, and it has always consistently, reared its ugly head throughout my life, whether it be just flat out racism, systemic racism. But I have to say, seeing these marches happening yesterday and the protests and these neo-Nazi groups and the language that they're using, send them back, blaming immigrants for everything. I know this isn't my usual content, but this is just an issue that affects me and so many others so deeply as someone who's from an immigrant family, and obviously not white passing myself. I have always constantly been made to feel like I don't belong in this country because of the colour of my skin, even though I was born and bred in Australia. Regardless, I've always experienced so much racism from people within this country. I was assaulted when I was 14 years old at my first job because someone told me to go back to where I came from, and physically assaulted me for absolutely no reason. And it was just that person just hated brown people. And this seems to be the general consensus, that people are blaming brown people for this immigration issue. They are blaming Indians and Muslims, and particularly the hate towards Indians is so vile and so disgusting. And it makes me so fucking sad to see it, because I love my family. I love that side of my culture. My whole family are the hardest working people you will ever meet. They have started from nothing, literally nothing. My mum's side of my family, they grew up in extreme poverty on a farm in Fiji. They had nothing, and every single one of my mum and my mother's siblings made something of themselves, and they got an education, and whether they immigrated to Australia or they stayed in Fiji, they then created lives for themselves in this country. They created businesses, not just businesses, they became business moguls. They created empires. My family have done amazing things in this country, and I'm so proud of all of them. But to see that reduced to they're just immigrants and they should go back to where they came from, and they're taking our housing, they're taking our jobs. You have no idea how this affects people. So, God, I'm getting emotional. Sorry. You have no idea how this affects people, and it's been a lot more triggering to me than what I anticipated. And honestly,
It's really sad to see so much hate, and it's so sad to see the violence and the racism. And it's like, because of these marches and these protests, these people, these closeted racists, feel like they have a platform now to just say whatever they want. And it sucks. It sucks. Do better, Australia. Please, for the love of God. Do better.
Honestly believe that the Australian culture and just the wider Eurocentric world as well, their identity is extremely attached to some degree of racism. Or just in general, the marginalization or slander of a race that is not of Eurocentric descent. Because tell me why it is so normal for me as a 17-year-old girl to go to school and experience racism to my face. The school, mind you, has done nothing about it. And I have siblings at the school that I attend, and they are experiencing the same things too. Mind you, they are literally in year 3. Racism and things of hate are not obviously inherent. We're not born with these things, they're taught. That means in households, children as young as 8 years old are learning to say slurs against people of color, are learning to say offensive things about cultures such as Indian cultures. Like, what? I don't understand where the system and us as a society went so wrong to the point where just we have zero empathy and zero humanity. I think every single adult and every single person who is above 18 and has children and still chooses to hold these racist views and pass them down should be extremely ashamed of themselves. And I think every single organization who is complacent and knows the racism and bullying going on and still does nothing about it, but wants to enforce policies like rules about uniform, makeup and hair and getting to class on time and getting to school late, should be 100% embarrassed to even call themselves an institution or a safe place for students to learn. Because it's not. How is it safe for a student to go to school and endure bullying and abuse? What is safe about that? What is moral about that? What is fair about that? But as a society, we know that our children and the kids who go to school should be safe in their place of education, of learning. Yeah, the world is disgusting, but school shouldn't be, because there's minors there. Any disrespectful remark made, kids don't blame the bully, they blame themselves. And students, children, literal 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds, no one should feel like they are the issue for existing because they are causing other people to bully them. They're causing other people to be infuriated. The true issue is the complacency of the people in power who see the bullying, see the racial abuse happening and do nothing about it. Those people are to blame. Because if the law was enforced just as hard as it is for this type of bullying, this wouldn't be happening. Like, this would not be happening. But because legislation, police, people in power simply don't care about racism, they're not going to do anything. The protest that occurred in Adelaide or Melbourne, I'm pretty sure, about the gun laws, they put on a big sign of racial slur, which I think is crazy they had the confidence to do that. At this point, I don't even blame them, because look at the police doing absolutely nothing, not caring. Things like racial abuse is brought to them, it's not taken as serious as it should be. It's only taken serious when someone is insulted to the point where they take their own life. That's when they realize it's serious. Why can't people in power be proactive and not reactive? How bad does it have to get for them to realize they need to do something?
I am fuming today. I am fuming. I hardly do videos and any of this stuff. But let me say about this racism, I've been seeing it for almost 25 years. I've been in Australia for 25 years. And you know who these commentators and the people that want to do the speech of go back home, you know why they're like that? Because these people have no love for themselves. They don't know what happiness is. They don't know what it's like to share. They don't know nothing. You know why? Because they don't even acknowledge the struggles of their own ancestors. As an African, Australian, you know why I'll always remember where I come from? Because I will never ever forget the struggle of my ancestors. Okay? That's why I'm Australian. To love the land means to love the people of the land. This is the Indigenous land. Australia is not ethnicity. We are all Australians. But you guys also forgot about the national anthem. We are one, but we are many. What, are you only one? Even rocks know where they come from. You don't. So what makes you think your opinion really matters when you can't even acknowledge the pain of your own ancestors, the pain of your family members? You want to come talk to me? When you know what self-love is, respect is for your people, for your ancestors, for your great-great-grandparents, then you can come tell me to go somewhere. Maybe then I'll listen to you. I'll give you an opportunity to listen to you. But you have no love for yourself. You have no love for the land. You pick and choose. You can't love the land without the owners of the land. Clarify that for everybody. As a Somali Australian, I'll tell you, this land belongs to the Indigenous people. Nobody else can tell me to go back home. They're the only people I'll listen to go back home. And if they do, I'll still say auntie, uncle, brother, sister.
They told me Australia was a land of opportunity. Nobody warned me about that silence. I came here with 2 suitcases, a student visa, and the hope of degree that would change my life. At the airport, everything looked shiny, welcoming. But in lecture halls, my accent turned into my shadow. People smile at me, yes, but smile doesn't turn into friendship. I sat in a crowd, cafeteria, with no one asking to sit with me. I would call my friends every night, holding back tears, telling them I was fine. Because how do you explain to them that loneliness part isn't just the study load, it's the empty weekends. The Australian Loneliness Report showed 26.9% of adults feel lonely. For international students, it's even higher. We are the thousands of kilometers from home, juggling work, study, and survival. Many of us are just living in cramped up housing, working long shifts just to pay rent, and yet no one sees the toll it takes on our hearts. Loneliness is the hidden tuition fee every migrant students pay, and it's not written on the invoice.
Why is Australia so racist? I have a theory, and I just want to say at the beginning as a disclaimer, this is not excuses, it's just a theory. But I think if you compare Australia to, say, somewhere like New Zealand, which is very similar and very close in proximity, the biggest difference between Australia and New Zealand is the original settlers of New Zealand went there by choice. They wanted to go to New Zealand. The original settlers of Australia were forced to come here. Everyone knows the story. The crimes in which you had to commit in order to be transported to Australia were pretty minimal. Nothing there is extreme. So all you had to do was just steal something, and you were put on a boat for 6 months, and you were transported all the way here. And then after that, you were forced into hard labor for, say, 5 years or something like that. And then after that, you were given a block of land. But you're not coming out of that experience a very well-adjusted person. There would be a lot of trauma. There would be a lot of dependency on alcohol. And as such, the people that came out of that experience didn't really have a lot of empathy for Aboriginal people. I think that they just wanted to get on with their lives, and they did whatever was necessary for their properties to thrive. And unfortunately, that meant doing some awful things to Aboriginal people. I mean, that's just one of the theories. I think our whole country is built on trauma, and that is why alcoholism is so bad, racism is so bad, drug abuse is not as bad as the United States or Canada, but pretty bad, and people end themselves at such a high rate in Australia. I just think there's lots of unresolved trauma. And a good lion's share of that trauma belongs to the Aboriginal people. Again, this is not like tit for tat. I'm not saying because the original settlers of Australia experienced some bad things, therefore, we're all on an even playing field. We're not. But it's just an explanation. I don't think Australians are inherently evil. I don't think, because Australia as a country is only 250 years old, so it's not like we've evolved. It's obviously a cultural thing, and that culture is built on our history, and our history is built on oppression and just people doing the worst things to each other. And that's left a pretty black mark on our country. And I do love Australia and I want Australia to be the best country it can be, but in order for us to move forward, we need to work out where all this hurt is coming from and how we're going to heal it. But I'm interested to hear what you think. Why do you think Australians are racist?
I don't know what Australia's issue is with genuinely hating people of colour and constantly trying to have this superior complex, trying to feed this whole idea of them being better than everybody else. For example, every single time there is a crime that happens in this country, the first thing that is questioned is where are they from? What country are they from? Because that one person is now going to become the face of that entire culture for the next few months. Some will even drag it out for years. I think one of the most recent disgusting examples of this idea is the fact that in Melbourne, these two boys who were brutally murdered, people were asking what race they were from, and then they started saying, oh, they should have been deported, saying that they're an issue in this country and it's not this country's responsibility to look after them. Whether these people want to admit it or not, we are all citizens of this country. We all belong in Australia, and as long as we are in Australia, we have a right to protection. Government has taken on the role and has outlined that they are going to protect its citizens. And whether or not they are of European descent, even if they are people of color, even if no matter where they're from, they are not less deserving of protection than you because of where they're from. If a crime happens in this country, it's this state who needs to take care of them, that needs to protect them and provide justice. And I think this death is so recent that even trying to push your racist motives onto the family, onto the community who are grieving the death of this child is the most stupid, disgusting, and just honestly just insensitive thing to say. Because why is the first thing that comes to your mind, oh, where are they from? And then you base how you're going to understand or reason with what happened. And it's something that Australia has deeply struggled with, and calling it out is the first step, because this is not okay. It is not okay to be preaching deport them under a comment section of a video talking about two boys who have lost their lives, two children who have lost their lives. That is disgusting. That is absolutely despicable. It's extremely dismissive. It's extremely disrespectful on multiple levels. And overall just shows your lack of emotional intelligence and definitely overall intelligence. And anyone who thinks that this is okay or wants to come in my comments and justify it, don't even bother, because you're not changing my mind on this. Because yes, Australia has always been racist, but to think that even a family who is grieving the death is not free from racial disrespect that's unfathomable to me. That's insane. And to anyone who has left any racist comments under a video trying to insinuate they should be deported, this is not Australia's issue, I honestly urge you to delete them, because those comments are not okay to be leaving straight after the death of children, okay? And that's the bottom line.
So according to their confession, these are immigrants. You've seen an international student there. You've seen a foreigner you've seen a Fiji girl who was born and raised in Australia. You've also seen black people living in Australia and African Australians. You've seen some people who migrated in Australia a long time ago. They are experiencing this racism. And these are not crazy people. They are very, very normal people. So they are experiencing this racism. If you ask a normal Australian, he will refuse or she will refuse that there is no racism in Australia. But what I always tell my viewers is that whoever feels the pains knows the pain. Whoever knows the pain feels the pain, or whoever knows it feels it. You cannot know if your country is racial or racist if you haven't practiced in racism and if you haven't experienced racism yourself. So it is very odd to ask an Australian if he or she has experienced this racism. If you want to know that Australia is really racist, you should ask these people who are experiencing it. Because some of them, they are experiencing it. But when they get to their homes, they close the door and start crying because of how lonely they feel when in Australia streets. How racist is affecting them. Some of them are even getting depression. So these Australians, they are not all racist. But some of them who are practicing in this racism, they are making the Aussie people look like they are racists. But in reality, not all of them are racist. Some of these Aussies are very amazing people. But some of them who are practicing in racism, they are making Australia generally racist. And let's be honest here. even if a country is very, very pure, you will never ever get a country that is not racist. Even if racism is just measured on amount, but it doesn't mean that a country cannot be racist. So in every country, we must experience racism. Maybe it is Australia is experiencing a very little racist, but these racist houses are making Australians look like they are racist. You've seen someone is saying there is too much racism in Australia behind bars. Imagine an Aussie asking an Indian immigrant who is working in a restaurant, why are there not Aussies here? Others are saying, you should go back to your home. You see, these kind of things are making people think that Australia is racist. Yeah, but I don't know. I always say I don't live in Australia. I just think that these are amazing people. And some of them are making these amazing people look like they are racist. Some of these Australians. Because these confessions really proves that there is racism in Australia. So it doesn't mean that there is zero racism in Australia. All their confessions proves to us that there is racism in Australia. But again, who are these Aussies that are practicing in this racism? Who are these houses that are making the other Australians keep on wondering? These people are saying we are racist. Where is this racism coming from? And these are the kind of people that all Australians should be calling for, because we saw on the 13th of September, they were marching against racism. Was the goal targeted? Their goal was to march against racism. Was their message taken home? You do tell me in the comment section. What do you think about this video? What do you think about racism in Australia? Do you think there is so much racism in Australia, or it is just another day of maybe, let's say, migrants fatigue, Indian fatigue, Islamic fatigue, immigrants fatigue, foreigners fatigue? Tell me what you think in the comment section. Let's have a discussion, and I hope to see you in my next episode. In the meantime, remember to subscribe to this channel, and you should also consider being a member of this channel so that we can also purchase some lights here and there. You see, it's too dark in here, but like the content is so bright. Tell me what you think in the comment section, guys. Let's have a discussion. See you in the next.